Finally, after trying to continually look over to my left, I finally did. And not only was there nobody to the left of me, but I saw the screen completely flatline. In that moment, as I saw myself flatline, I started traveling upwards. The best way I can describe it, and I get goosebumps every time I talk about it, it just felt like everything started to free up in my body. It felt like ice, like this really cool, beautiful feeling of my body just starting to release and kind of pour out of my chest, almost like shooting a tunnel out of my chest of light. It was the best feeling I think I could ever experience. It was like this beautiful, blissful, just this feeling of love surrounding my body. I could have experienced that feeling a million times over, and there's just no way to describe it. But I was moving upwards to this area where I couldn't see where I was going, but I just had complete trust of where I'm going is really beautiful. If this is the feeling now, I can only imagine where I'm about to go. And not before long, I ended up in this garden. And it was a garden filled with flowers and plants that we've never seen before, and these beautiful colors, and everything was just vibrant. It was almost like looking into the sun where you have to squint a little bit because everything was so beautiful and colorful. Well, I had no preconceived notion of really what heaven was. I grew up loving Elvis, and I thought Elvis would be waiting there for me and everything would just be kind of calm and peaceful and you'd be up in the clouds. And the heaven that I experienced was so much more vivid and so much more real. There wasn't a floating sense. Your body felt so light. There was zero gravity, but the garden and the leaves were so real. These plants and flowers that were so bright, we don't have those colors here. I could say they were purple and red and blue, but it just doesn't do it justice. Everything was just so bright and almost kind of womp womp. There was a vibration off of everything. You just felt so in tune and connected. When we walk past the tree or we walk down a sidewalk now, you might say, oh, that's a beautiful plant or a beautiful flower, where in heaven it felt like I was feeling the plants and the flowers. When you dream, you don't necessarily feel something. You kind of envision it, and if you're dreaming, you're off in this little world. This was so real because I was feeling things, and I felt the grains of dirt in between my toes, and I hate being barefoot, so it was a vivid memory for me that I could actually feel dirt in my feet. And ahead of me, I saw a gentleman in a robe, and he was chasing after a little boy, about 3 or 4 years old, little curly-haired blonde boy. The little boy was kind of running ahead, looking back. He was being cheeky, and as I see the boy running, I'm just watching this beautiful interaction, almost like father-son. And I watched this little boy just so happy and so purely enjoying his life. And until I got close, then you kind of look down and go, oh my gosh, that's me. I forgot I had blonde curly hair. And I used to be that happy, and I used to just laugh all the time and smile constantly as a kid growing up. No matter what was going on around me, I was always a happy kid. And I think I had forgotten that by that time. By the time I was 19, I was taking life so seriously. I was so worried about career and military and all these things that I had so forgotten about being that happy little kid. And so that was a beautiful reminder of how I used to be. It's feeling fulfilled and feeling like I have given back to the world of making people smile. And it was such a good lesson of this is what life is supposed to be forever. You're supposed to always find joy and laughter and happiness. And we stood there for quite a while, and time stands still. I couldn't say if it was 5 minutes. I couldn't say if it was 5 hours. It was this amount of time for me to get so much knowledge that I felt like I already knew. But it was such a friendly relationship that felt like I had spent so much time with him in the past. And before I knew it, he kind of joked and smiled and said, you have to go back. And I didn't argue. I said, yeah, I know. And it was such a reminder that I have been here multiple times. Maybe not as dramatic as a near-death experience or being flatlined, but I have been there so many times that it was just a kind of, better, you can't stick around here too long, you've got to go back. And I said, okay, I understand. And it was just this very playful, friendly thing, just like you're saying goodbye to a friend. You know that you've seen him before and you're going to see him again. So you're just saying bye for now. And it was very peaceful. There was no part of my body that said I wanted to stay. It was just like, spending time with a friend, and you've got to go back to your house before you go back home again, and it just felt like it was so understood that I had a lot more to do. And before I knew it, I was back in my body in a different city, off base.